Today I am going to tell you all about something that happened to Gordon and I on our recent trip to the British Isles for our British Isles cruise. It's interesting. It's happened before, but we didn't think it was going to happen again. And then also Princess is releasing their Alaska 2026. I've got things to tell you about that. And we're going to talk about what's going on up in Skagway, Alaska, and a lot more. So let's go ahead and get started. Hi there, this is Allison with Let's Go Travel Tips. Today is Wednesday. It is July 24th of 2024, and here's what happened to us. So if you've been following along, we went on a British Isles cruise, and as part of that, we decided that we're going to stay in the British Isles a little bit longer. We came in 2 days early, and then we stayed after for a few days, rented a car, and went driving around. We've done that several times before, so it's not the first time. Well, a couple of times ago, and maybe that was our first time driving in the British Isles since we've been married, we happened to get a ticket for driving in a bus lane in Bath in England. And so, of course, when that happens with a rental car, they pay the ticket and then they bill your credit card for how much, you owe them for that. And you know what? It happened again. And let me tell you where it happened this time. So when we were in Cardiff, Wales, we stayed at the Hilton. It is very centrally located there. It's really handy to Cardiff Castle and to the other places that we wanted to visit. And so we stayed there overnight. They have a parking garage, and when you look at the front of the hotel, there's a little loop where you can pull in and load or unload your car and come and go that way. But then you have to come back out of that loop, go around and go down and park in their underground structure. Well, the day that we were going to leave, the ends of the little roundabout thing were blocked off and no one was to be found. There were some other people parking where we ended up parking to load our car, and some of the gentlemen that got out of those vehicles were not very happy about the little loop being blocked off, and one of them was by a delivery truck, and the other one, it looked like it was a repair truck. On both ends were blocking it. And so we waited a little bit to see if anyone would come, but they didn't. So Gordon went and got the car, and we ended up just pulling up where everyone else was, quickly put in our luggage, and off we went. Turns out that was a bus lane, and they have a camera, and they just give out tickets if you happen to drive there. And since we pulled in there to load and unload our car, which was really the only place to get out of the road, we got that ticket. So when you are driving in the United Kingdom, a couple of things. You know what? You just might get a ticket, and because you're doing your best, but funny things happen, and really, really, really watch out for those bus lanes. And we're going to keep an even closer eye out for bus lanes, but even knowing that, I don't know how else we would have put our luggage in our car. And so there you go. You've got that story. And I think that it was around 75 pounds is how much that ticket was. And the people at Hertz just automatically, like I said, charged it to our card, so it is all taken care of. Alrighty, what's going on in Skagway? Skagway has a lot going on, it turns out, when it comes to rock and mudslides. You maybe remember 2 years ago during the cruise season, they had a massive rock slide right next to the pier there, the pier that's right up against the mountain there, and it slid and it made that pier so that they couldn't use it for cruise ships. So that impacted the rest of the cruise season, and then last year it impacted it as well, and then this year it seems, based on everything I've heard, they've got it worked out so that they've got a system in place now to be able to handle all of the ships conveniently again. I'll let you know what that looks like when we're there next week. What happened yesterday, though, is there in Skagway, if you've not heard of it, they've got the White Pass Yukon Railway, and it is a spectacular journey on that train up the side, up through the mountain, up through the canyon, and into Canada. You can book the excursion, so some of them don't go up quite so far, and some of them do go clear up into Canada. And so you really just book what it is that you want to do. But yesterday, as that train was between mile marker 80 and 86, which puts it between Fraser and Carcross in Canada, that mudslide happened, and it went over the tracks, and so the train it made it, inaccessible. So they had to get everyone off of the train and put them on buses because they, of course, had to get them back to Skagway. As they put them on buses, the way I understand it, once they're on the buses and ready to go, then the mudslide went across the road and made that impassable as well. So there's actually a part of the train track that is closed right now, and part of the road there is closed as well. And the way that this has happened, it sounds like the border crossings are closed there as well. Last night, they were able to keep it open long enough to get the buses of people out, because instead of being able to take them down, like down the canyon back to Skagway due to that mudslide, they had to take a huge loop. It's several hundred miles. It takes 6.5 hours up through Canada to drive around Haines. Often people, unless they're trying to want to take that route, they will often take the ferry that goes between Skagway and Haines, and I would say that's probably like half an hour, 45 minutes. It's a really pretty ride. You should definitely do it sometime if you haven't. We've done it before to take excursions in Haines, or the one that we're going to do from the Davidson to go see the Davidson Glacier when we're there next week is right there. But anyway, the cruise ships that were there in Skagway that had guests that were on board the train when this happened, they not only waited for them there, but they moved over to Haines to be able to pick them up around 4 o'clock in the morning this morning. So I'm really grateful that they are reporting that no one was hurt in this, and so that's wonderful news. And we'll just have to see how long it takes to get everything like cleaned up with all of the mud, to get all that moved, and then to make sure that the area that slid is safe, so that they don't have to worry about it again before they start running the train and using that road again. So I'll keep you up to date on anything we hear. I'm excited to be there just next week and see what we can hear and find out for you. So if you are there in the meantime, let us know what you're hearing about everything going on. But I think it's great that no one was hurt. Now, let's talk about Alaska 2026. You know, I'm always really excited whenever a whole new season opens up. And I've been anxiously awaiting Alaska 2026. And it's really kind of exciting, everything Princess has announced. Plus, in their press release, we get a window into what they are also trying to do with their new Sphere-class ships. So first of all, Alaska 2026 for Princess is going to have 8 ships. This year they have 7 ships in 2024. I want to say they have 7. And I think it's 7 next year too. I'll have to double check that. But I am really excited. They're going to have 8 ships up there. And they've got a nice variety. They're going to have some of the smaller ones, the Royal class and the new Star Princess, the Sphere class. She will be their very newest ship in the fleet in Alaska next year. And so the ships that will be there is the Coral Princess, the Discovery Princess, the Emerald, the Grand, the Island, the Royal, the Ruby, and of course the Star Princess. And so to give you an idea of who is sailing where, those like the Voyage of the Glaciers that generally go between Vancouver and Anchorage, that part there in Whittier, those are going to be sailed by the Discovery Princess, the Grand, the Coral, and the Island Princesses. And then the Inside Passage, as you look at that map, pay attention to the itineraries and how they navigate that Inside Passage. But round trip from Seattle, they're going to have the Royal Princess and the Star Princess. From San Francisco round trip, of course, is our Ruby Princess, as we always expect there. The Emerald Princess will be going from Vancouver Princess, and then one time in the season in 2026 again they're going to do a round trip from Los Angeles, which is big news. That's really exciting. They're doing one in 2025, one in 2026, and so hopefully that'll become like a regular thing that they do. And I know that more people would like them to do it more than once. There's a lot of people that don't want to fly or can't fly, and that really opens up so many more places that they can visit, as well as Alaska. They're going to have cruises that go clear from 7 days to 20 days. They're going to have that ultimate Alaska solstice again from San Francisco that they've got in 2025. There's just a lot to choose from. They've got amazing cruise tours as always, and so tomorrow I'll tell you a little bit more about some of the itineraries and what that's looking like, but that gives you a really good idea of it. You might like to know that when you look at Alaska and those voyages, they've got 19 different destinations that they are going to visit. They've still got, of course, their 5 Princess Lodges up there. They've got 15 different unique itineraries. So generally you can find what it is that you're looking for to do in Alaska there. 5 different departure ports. And so you've got your Vancouver, your Seattle, then up there in Anchorage, Whittier, and then San Francisco and Los Angeles. 100% of their cruise tours visit Denali. So that's really important. And I would say when you're looking at your cruise tours, it's really important to pay attention to what's included, how long they are in each place, what they do in each place. That's important. And they are also having like a late night ashore in Juneau. So when we go to Juneau next week, we get into port not until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we leave at 9 p.m. So I don't know if they're going to do later than that. And then they're going to continue, as they're doing, to go to Glacier Bay on a lot of their sailings. Not all of their sailings, though. That's a really important distinction. But also they go to the Hubbard Glacier, College Fjord, and also to the Endicott Arm and Dawes glaciers. And so a lot of different glaciers to see, and you know what? They are all so beautiful. Glacier Bay, I maintain, is a very special place, but let me tell you, you sail up to those other glaciers, and they are not less in any way. They are absolutely magnificent. You can probably tell, I just love Alaska. I love Alaska. And there's not everywhere that I can go every year and not get tired of it. So I'm really excited. And like I said, I'll tell you some more about that. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, will you please go ahead and hit that subscribe button? Would love to have you with us. Would love to take you with us on our adventures. And if you appreciate my updates, will you please give this video a thumbs up? It really helps us out. So thank you. Let's go ahead, and I wanted to talk to you just a minute about this whole thing of cruise lines waiting for people on different excursions. And really, let's talk about that here for a minute, because I think that it's really important. One thing I think that is so important to talk about with this is what we saw happen with Norwegian, with that family in Ketchikan just recently, and I told you about it in my video yesterday. If you missed it, go watch that. I really feel like that's an outlier. They had booked their excursion with the cruise ship, and to me it's a little bit of a different thing. When you book your excursion with the cruise ship and it takes you up until time that you need to be back to the ship, that's when it is super important that they will wait for you if you're delayed. So if all aboard is at 4:30 and they're going to get you back, they say by like 4 or 4:30, then that's a really important thing to be booked with a cruise line, right? When you think of going a long ways away from the cruise ship, I think it's important to do it with the cruise ship as well, because a lot of things can happen between where you're going and where the cruise ship is. But what happened with that family, they booked their excursion to see that lumberjack show in Ketchikan, and then they were coming back to the ship, and they were supposed to be able to take that shuttle from the shuttle location that they designate there over to where the ship is docked. In Ketchikan, Norwegian does not pull right in. You have to ride a shuttle. It's that far away where they dock. When you're sailing into Ketchikan, if you're on the port side, a ways before you get into Ketchikan, you can see where Norwegian docks if you ever want to see that. And so for Norwegian to not go back and check that location when people were not back to the ship on time, I think is unconscionable. And I don't care how they booked their excursion, but when people were not getting back, they should have just automatically known, let's go back and make sure that no one is left standing there waiting for a shuttle. Okay, I think that that's really important. I really think that that's an outlier. I like to think that a lot of the time the people who are on board and determining if they're going to leave someone think a little bit more, quite frankly, and pay attention to the logistics of where they are and maybe where those people could be. So I think that Norwegian owes these people another cruise, not just a discount for the days that they missed on board because they missed the ship back, but really you cannot buy time. Time is invaluable, but I feel like they are owed a second chance, because it wasn't their fault that the shuttle didn't come back when the shuttle provider said wait for the next one. Clearly another one was supposed to come and it didn't. So that's my 2 cents. But what I really want you to think about as you book your excursions is here's what I always think. I look at the excursions that the cruise line offers, and if they have what I want to do, I book it through the ship because it takes just away that worry. If they don't have what I really want to do in a location, then I start to think about how I'm going to manage that and what that realistically looks like. I also look at the location and wonder how willing I am to be left behind. How can I navigate if I am left in this place? And I also kind of try to schedule, if I do it with a third party, I always do it so that we are supposed to be back to the ship well before all aboard time. And well before, I mean more than an hour before, so that we've got time for something to break down or for something unexpected to happen. Even when we were, for example, in Helsinki, Finland, we just decided to see, when you get off the ship, there's this really nice market and people are selling things they made, and it's really kind of fun. And then from there, you can walk around and see things. When we got up to where their beautiful cathedral is there, it's just up the hill, we decided to do the hop on, hop off bus. And we are wise enough to know not to get off, because then you might not get back on in time. So we just took it on the loop. As we were getting close to getting back to the ship, it got caught in traffic. And then we really started to worry. And so we literally got back in time. The hop on, hop off bus pulled up. Lots of us got off and hurried onto the ship, just really in the nick of time. And then we ended up waiting longer because one of the Princess excursions wasn't back, and they came. So really, really pay attention to how you schedule your excursions. That doesn't mean that I don't think it's okay to not book an excursion with a third party vendor. Not at all. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying to be really wise with how you manage that and think about where you're going and what part you're in when you make that choice. So that's the important thing that I had to tell you. And really, tell me what you think in the comments about that. I wanted to make sure that you all knew, when you thought about what happened to that family on Norwegian, that that's not a normal thing to happen. And a good reminder of making sure that you are early back to the last shuttle, that you make sure that you call the port agent really soon. But at the same time, yeah, it wasn't a very good situation. So I will look forward to seeing you all here again tomorrow. Thanks for being here, and I'll be talking to you all again really soon. You all take really good care. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.